In a small village surrounded by hills and wheat fields, lived a man named Tomás. He was neither the strongest nor the fastest, but his heart was large and his will unbreakable. From a young age, he had learned that true effort is not always recognized, but duty does not require applause. Every morning, before the sun lit up the hills, Tomás would rise to work in the village fields. They weren't his, but he worked them with the same care as if they were. He knew that many families depended on that land, and his conscience wouldn't allow him to leave the work half done. With calloused hands and a back bent from years of hard work, he never complained or sought recognition. Many in the village saw him as an ordinary man, someone without aspirations or glory. "He's just another farmer," some would say with disdain. "Always quiet, always working. But what has he really achieved?" But Tomás didn't need to respond. He knew that words are carried away by the wind, but deeds remain. That year, a great drought hit the region. The rivers shrank to threads of water, and the crops began to wilt under the relentless sun. The farmers panicked. Their reserves wouldn't last until winter. That's when Tomás quietly began distributing small sacks of grain he had saved in silence over the years to his neighbors. He had foreseen this day, had worked tirelessly so no one would go hungry. But few knew, and even fewer appreciated it, until, as always, time put everyone in their place. In the early days of the drought, Tomás distributed his grain among the elderly and families with young children. He didn't ask if they deserved it or if they had ever looked at him with disdain. He simply left the sacks in front of their doors before dawn, making sure no one saw him. But hunger awakens greed, and soon some began to suspect. "How is it possible that Tomás has food while we suffer?" the men murmured at the tavern. "Maybe he stole it. Maybe he always had more than he said." The murmurs grew into accusations. One morning, a group of villagers stopped him on the road. "Tell us the truth, Tomás. Where did you get that grain?" Tomás looked at them calmly, with no resentment in his eyes. "From my work. I saved it while you spent yours without thinking about tomorrow." But his words were not enough to quell the mistrust. And what came next was even worse. One night, while Tomás was sleeping in his humble cabin, he was awakened by the sound of knocks on his door. He stood up cautiously, and when he opened it, he found a group of villagers armed with sticks and torches. Their faces reflected anger and suspicion. "Don't lie to us anymore, Tomás. We know you're hiding more grain. It's not fair that some suffer while others hoard in secret." Tomás took a deep breath, unfazed. "I'm not hiding anything. What I had, I've already given." But they didn't believe him. Irritated by desperation, they broke into his home and searched every corner, looking for hidden sacks. They found nothing except his modest bed, a few tools, and an old chest with childhood memories. "He's deceived us," one of the men grumbled. "He must have taken it somewhere else." Without proof, but blinded by rage and hunger, they dragged him out and took him to the village square. "If you have anything else, tell us now," they demanded. Tomás, with a calm face and a firm gaze, simply replied, "I've already given everything." But in times of crisis, truth is not always enough. The sun was beginning to rise when Tomás was forced to kneel in the center of the square. The murmurs of the crowd grew louder. Some looked at him with disdain, others with doubt, but few with compassion. "If he has nothing else to give, then he's of no use to the village," one of the leaders declared. But at that moment, an old woman stepped forward from the crowd. She was one of the many who had silently received grain. She stood in front of Tomás and opened her arms as if protecting him. "This man has saved many of us. If he's here, it's because he gave everything he had." Soon other voices rose. He helped us when no one else did. It's not right what we're doing to him. The crowd began to waver. The anger dissipated in the face of reality. Tomás had been the only one to foresee the crisis and help without expecting anything in return. The leader, seeing how the support for Tomás was growing, lowered his gaze in shame. Maybe we were wrong, and so time began to put everyone in their place. But Tomás' story wasn't over yet. That same night, the villagers who had doubted Tomás came to his house, but this time without torches or threats. They knocked gently on his door, and when he opened it, they lowered their heads in shame. "Tomás, we're sorry. We acted out of fear and desperation. We didn't see what you were really doing for us." The farmer looked at them in silence for a few seconds. Then, with a sigh, he invited them in. "I hold no grudges. Hunger clouds judgment, I understand. But now we must work together to move forward." That night, with maps and calculations, they planned how to make the most of what little remained and how to survive the winter. Tomás taught them drought-resistant cultivation methods and ways to store the grain more efficiently. For the first time, the village stopped seeing him as just a simple farmer and began to value him as a leader. The silent sacrifice that no one had seen was now becoming the foundation upon which their community would be reborn. And time, as always, continued to put everyone in their place. Days passed, and the village began to apply Tomás' teachings. They worked together, sharing what little they had and organizing new forms of production. Slowly, life began to flourish again. Tomás, without seeking it, became everyone's counselor. Whenever someone had a doubt or problem, they would go to him. But still, he remained humble, asking for nothing in return. And though some still didn't understand his greatness, destiny had prepared his greatest recognition. Prosperous spring arrived in the village. The harvest was abundant, and the community, grateful, decided to honor Tomás. But he, with his characteristic humility, just smiled and said, "I didn't do anything special. I just did what needed to be done." Time had shown who was truly valuable. The years passed, and Tomás' name remained in the memory of the village as a symbol of wisdom and generosity. His story became a tale passed down from generation to generation, reminding everyone that the true value of a person is not in words or recognition, but in their actions. As the community thrived, the memory of Tomás lived on in every cultivated field, in every grain of cereal stored for the future, and in every act of solidarity. Tomás never sought fame or wealth, but his life became a testament to what it means to sacrifice in silence for the good of others. And so, time finished putting everyone in their place. Tomás' humility, his silent sacrifice, was never forgotten, because the purest actions always leave a mark on the hearts of those who receive them.